Hey, I'm Michael.
And I'm Stephanie.
And welcome to Entrepreneurs Next Door,
a podcast about parenthood, relationships, and entrepreneurship,
where each week we share our journey on how we navigate life as an entrepreneur family. All right, we made it to episode number 1 of Entrepreneurs Next Door. I'm excited to be here. How are you feeling?
Super excited. Nervous. You know, this is definitely out of my comfort zone, but I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely. We spent a couple of days and actually a couple of weeks getting all of this ready, getting our thoughts together and what we wanted, the message that we wanted to deliver here on this podcast. And so I'm excited. We're finally launching, finally here. And definitely, I mean, you were the one that motivated us, inspired us to get this done. So what do you think were the reasons you wanted to start a podcast?
Yeah. During the day, I actually listen to a lot of podcasts. I find them really entertaining. And so I like to listen to them while I'm doing stuff around the house. And one day it just came to me and I thought, how cool would it be for you and I to have something together, like our own little project?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely one of our first projects together.
It is.
And same thing for me, right? I think podcasts are something that is trendy, popular right now. And I think it's because it's a great platform to be able to deliver a longer message, be able to kind of connect with the audience a little bit better.
Yeah.
And so, you know, on a daily basis, pretty much, I'm listening to a lot of podcasts. I'm learning a lot, you know, from podcasts. I know you share with me throughout the day what you've learned, you know, from podcasts.
They're really entertaining, and it is what's trendy now, like, as you can see.
Yeah, definitely. So the other reason that you were saying that you wanted to start was also kind of to learn a little bit more behind the scenes. Yeah,
you know, you have a martial arts school, for those that don't know, and a fitness program. And I just was thinking, like, how cool would it be for your own members to kind of get to know Master Lujan, Coach Mike, outside of the school, you know, and kind of get to know our family dynamic, do like the little behind the scenes. I think that's cool for members to do.
No, I like that. That's for sure one of the reasons that we wanted to start was kind of to share the behind the scenes. And for those of you that don't know and are watching or listening, I own a martial arts school. And so today's episode is sponsored by Warrior Martial Arts. And so kids martial arts, adult fitness, if anyone is listening and watching and wants to come to try a free class, you are more than welcome. We are located in Dunellen here in Jersey. So we'll definitely put the links in the description.
Come check us out.
So we wanted episode number 1 to be about how we first met. Right. Yeah. And so how about you kick it off with that?
Yeah. For those that don't know, you know, we've only been together for 4 years, and that's, you know, marriage and 2 kids. Yeah.
And, you know, one of the things that you were saying before we started is it's definitely not the traditional, right? Like for ourselves, for, you know, in general, you know, the dating phase is usually a bit longer.
Much longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so why do you think we connected so quickly?
Yeah, I mean, we met through a mutual friend. And when we went on our first date, and I found us, you know, kind of talking a little bit more deeper conversations. I know that when you date, the first date is very superficial, but like not for us. We were like talking future, kids, starting a family. And I just thought, like, that's kind of what I fell in love with, right, was how ambitious you were. And I think what helped is that we were at the right time. Like, it just happened at the right time.
Right. Yeah. And so, you know, when we first met, I always tell you, you know, it was kind of love at first sight, right?
Yeah.
Although it sounds a little bit cheesy.
It does.
When we first met, it was definitely love at first sight. But I think one of the things that I connected with the most with you on was that we both had the same kind of end goal. Like, we knew what we wanted in our lives, and we were both at the same spot in our lives where we were ready to kind of take that next step.
Yeah.
Right. And so you were kind of saying that, that kind of quote or saying.
I hear it a lot. It's like you meet the right people that are meant to be in your life. It has to happen at the right time.
Right.
A lot, we've dated before, and I just think, we've met nice people, but it just wasn't the time.
Right.
Right. Because everything has its time. My mom says that a lot. Everything has its time. And so with us, I think it was the time. We were at that stage in our lives where I felt like I was ready to have a family, and getting to know you, it was nice to hear that you were also ready to start a family.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The first date was definitely one that was unique, right? Like like you were saying. Yeah. So we were having dinner together.
Yes.
Right. And everything was going well. We started with the questions, the typical questions. And I think we both found ourselves also
going into the deep.
Yeah, getting a little bit deeper with the questions, but also kind of answering the same way, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, I would ask a question and you were like, you would answer it, and I would say the me too kind of thing, right?
And that's what was nice on my end. I'm like, wow, like it's so nice to find, because you date, we were like in our early 20s and you date a lot. You're trying to find that person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, which is a big deal. So that that we got together at the right time, and not only that, but we had the same goals.
Yeah.
You thought a lot like how I thought.
Right.
And I think that's,
And also, like I was telling you before, is that it's also nowadays like hard, I guess, maybe to find someone like that is ready to kind of start a family, take that next step,
commit to something,
right? Like commitment kind of thing. I know a lot of people that I've met or other people that I talk to don't want to start families maybe and aren't ready for the next step.
It's scary. We live in scary times. And so, I kind of get it, where it's like starting a family, raising kids in times like these, it is scary. And we have these conversations now that we have Sophie and Mikey, and we think about like when she's going to go to school and all these things. Right. And we have these conversations where, it is a scary time. So I get it why like people would wait to make such a big commitment.
Right. But I guess that's why we connected, right? Because it was rare to both say like, I want kids and I want to start a family. And
we did it.
Yeah. And so, and that also happened fairly quickly, right? And so we kind of moved in within the first 3 months, 2-3 months of being together. We had Sophia within the first like 6 months of being together. And we got engaged and married and within a span of 4 years. Right? So it sounds, it's a little bit funny and
it's scary too, right? I know, like my mom was scared when I told her I found this guy that I love.
Our parents were both in shock. Right.
But now we're here.
Yeah, for sure. And
it was the adjustment. I think now that we are here, it's such a great adjustment to kind of have our both worlds now together.
Right. Yeah. And so we can talk about, I guess, the journey of how we navigated, me being an entrepreneur and you coming from a traditional 9-to-5 background. Right. And so, I guess let's talk a little bit about that. Like, how was that adjustment phase? Because we've definitely been learning as we go, right?
Versus, it's a learning process.
Yeah, like versus, typical dating phase is, 4 or 5 years.
Because you take that time, you date people for that long of time because you want to get to know them, right?
And so we are still going through that kind
process.
Of dating phase as we go, as we're having kids, and so it's a little bit unique, right? But let's talk about how we, in the beginning, how we navigated me being an entrepreneur and you coming from a 9-to-5 background. Like, how was that for you?
It was an adjustment. So I've been working since I was 16. And it's always been obviously like a 9 to 5. I grew up with a single mom who at one point, you know, she worked 3 jobs. So she was a very independent woman, taught me to be very independent. And so it was like kind of like a shock when we met and we moved in, and you know, you're an entrepreneur. And so I was used to looking at the clock, it's 4:50, I'm so ready to go home. And if I didn't finish my work, you know, it's fine. Like, I'll just come back tomorrow and do what I have to do. And so now that I'm living and married to someone who has a business, you know, that's not the case, because it's 12 at night and you're still working, right? Like, you stay up late, and it's not what people think, I guess, right? Because people do have like this, how do you say, like this picture of an entrepreneur, of thinking like, oh, their lives are so easy, it must be super fun, you know, to have a business, like, and that's, I found that very early on in our relationship that's not the case. It's hard.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the entrepreneur journey, in the public's eye, I guess you can say, is, it's like, they might have it easier than others, but it's really a like early in the morning, late at night, like nonstop hustle.
You don't have a time when you can stop.
Right. It's a nonstop hustle, because in the beginning you're wearing like all the hats, right? You are the janitor, you are the marketer, you're the sales guy, right? And so it's constantly putting out fires, as you see, like, you've noticed, like, you know, there's always something that comes up in the business, right? Something wrong that you have to fix, right? Because you are the person that is in charge, right? And so that was definitely one of the main things that we had to adjust to is the timing, right? It's like I work 24/7 pretty much, and so on my end, you know, I had to learn the balance between being a father, a husband, and an entrepreneur. And so that's definitely something that, you know, I'm still working on. And we have both kind of improved on,
finding out like what's best for our family. Because I did work a 9 to 5. I was, before I met you, you know, I was working, and I was working, you know, to better myself, I guess you can say. And now that we're together and married, we have come to the conclusion, because we have kids, right, that I have to stay home with the kids. I have to be a stay-at-home mom, because that's just what works best for us right now.
Right.
And so being a stay-at-home mom is also not easy.
Right.
I know you're a business owner, and you know, I had to adjust to that. Yeah. But I also had to adjust to being a stay-at-home mom.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, going back to that, it's definitely a decision we had to make, because we wanted to give our kids more of our time.
Yeah.
Because there all are, you know, alternatives. Like we've talked about putting them in school, right?
Many times we've
and so put them in a daycare, or like getting a nanny or something, right?
We did.
And so there's other avenues that we could have taken, but we both decided that the best thing would be to, you know, give them as much of our time and your time, to help them grow, and also because, you know, being honest, we feel like the world out there is a little bit crazy. It's a little bit crazy out there right now, and
because everything happens so fast between us, we didn't, like, again, most people sit down and have these conversations beforehand, but we, you know, decided to do this quickly, which is what we decided. So, you know, when it comes to kids, it was just kind of like one of those things where, like, okay, you're going to stay home, watch the kids, just for, like you said, for better for them.
Yeah. And so, you know, the biggest adjustment on that end has been learning to support
one another,
right? Because from the beginning, definitely, you know, you were the one to support me in the my entrepreneurial journey. But then seeing you be a stay-at-home mom and the struggles that come along with that, you know, I've also had to adjust to, you know, support you, right? Because being a stay-at-home mom, as we now know, is
not easy.
It's not easy
Yeah.
either, right? And so,
And it's a different kind of hard.
right.
It's a way different kind of hard, because I get it. You know, being an entrepreneur, we come to the understanding that it's not easy and it's hard. But being a stay-at-home mom is also hard.
Yeah.
So it's like finding, a balance between the two,
Right.
just to kind of make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And so, on your end, or one of the things that we found works and what we've learned so far is the biggest thing is communication, right? And so me being able to communicate with you as to what I need to be able to do my job better, and you being able to communicate with me what you need to be able to do your job better, because being a stay-at-home mom is quote unquote a job as well.
It is.
Right. And so you need the tools and the resources and the time also to help you navigate that. Right.
Because in the beginning, I think, you just how like people have that perception about entrepreneurship being easy. You kind of thought like, okay, she can just stay home. It'll be fine. But we found out very quickly that for my mental health, if I'm being completely honest, it wasn't easy talking to little kids all day and not going out. Like,
Right.
your heart is different. You get to talk to adults, but that also comes with other things.
Right.
And so, communicating, because I can't expect you to know
Right.
that it's easy because you're not here at home. So definitely communicating, letting you know, hey, I think I need a break. I need a day off,
Right.
or you can watch the kids and I can go do something.
Yeah. Even if it's work out, go for a walk.
Definitely.
And so I think communication definitely is one of the things like
for
that,
anyone.
Yeah, is one of the things that we've been working on and still working on. And it's something that has helped us improve in our relationship, right?
Yeah.
Just constantly, because we got into this so fast, we're constantly like learning. I mean, we have our arguments, of course, but then we learn from it, and then we take that next step, to get better, right? And continue to improve on a relationship, both family, between ourselves and business wise.
Yes.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you still own a business, and that's what we live off of, right? Like your business. And so it's learning how to, it's like a little, I see it as like a game of chess, right? Like there's little pieces that help each other, and we're a game where we're trying to be successful, get to a certain point in our lives. We have goals. And so we need to know what our how do you say
next move is,
what our next moves are, right?
Learning the right place,
right?
kind of thing.
Yeah. And so that's why I also am like, let's start a podcast so that people that can relate to us. When I listen to a podcast and they're talking about like stay-at-home mom things that I can relate to, it's nice to hear that someone else is going through like what I'm going through.
Right.
And then I thought like, there are people out there that can relate to our situation, and kind of like want to go on this journey with us of like
for sure
learning.
Yeah, I like that, because we're still learning about each other, about the journey, how to get better, how to get to that next level. We wanted to also document our journey, right? And so how cool would it be if 5-10 years from now, ourselves and our kids look back and you're like, hey, mom and dad started a podcast and now they're here, right? And so we wanted to learn more about ourselves, our journey, share that with others, and also bring other people on the podcast that are going through that same journey. So we're excited about that part. We'll be looking to reach out. And again, for anyone that's watching or listening, if you are a entrepreneurial family, you have kids, you're an entrepreneur, you're local here in New Jersey, or anywhere really, because we can do these podcasts kind of virtual through Zoom. That's the
cool thing now. You can do it like over Zoom.
And so if you are watching or listening and want to be on the podcast, we would love to have you to be able to learn about your journey, help share that with others, and help create a community, right? I think that's the biggest thing that we wanted to do, is create a community around entrepreneurial families that are going through this journey.
Yeah,
right?
'Cause I think it is unique. Like sometimes, our dynamic is very unique, and I know like people can relate to us, and we can learn from other families as well, because we're still very new into this.
Right. Yeah. And ultimately, like it's a hard journey, but I feel like it's rewarding. right?
is.
It's rewarding and it's fun because we get to do things like this, right? Where, if you work a 9 to 5, usually,
Yeah.
you wouldn't, get to do stuff like this.
Right. There's
I
many
guess.
downs, but there's also many ups to
Right.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, this has been episode number one. Of Entrepreneurs Next Door. On the next episode, you want to tell them what that one is going to be about?
I'll be interviewing you. Yeah.
I thought I was interviewing you.
No. I'm going to be interviewing you because you also, I like when I met you and you told me your story, you actually had your first school at the age of 19.
Yeah.
So I can just
young.
imagine. Yeah, right. You're so young. And so next episode we'll be interviewing you and getting to know you a little more.
I like that. Yeah. So on future episodes, guys, we are going to be interviewing each other, interviewing other entrepreneurs in the area.
We do.
And we are going to be sharing more of our stories as we, grow. And move along our journey. We're going to be sharing our stories. We are going to be doing a weekly podcast.
Yes, uploading every week.
Right, uploading every week. And so make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment, and let us know what you want to hear on this podcast and what you found, I guess, valuable maybe from our podcast. And again, if you are an entrepreneurial family that wants to be on the podcast, we would love to have you.
Yes.
And
that's it.
that is it. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.